Hey everybody, it's Mike Young, a digitalnomad.net. I just got back from a trip with my beautiful wife Denise, who planned the whole thing. It was awesome, except for some things that happened out of our control. We were flying, of course. We don't usually fly that much, but if you watch us on the channel, you know that occasionally we do take trips on airplanes. And I just wanted to share about our experience with flight delays and plane delays, and what I think's actually what I think's actually happening, and what they're not telling you. Now, to me, this seemed painfully obvious. Let me describe the situation for you that we endured, I'd say, just a couple days ago. We were flying from Denver to BWI in Maryland, and Denver's in Colorado. Obviously, we had to have a layover in Orlando, Florida. So we were there. We were there for like 5 hours. It was a long layover. We got a lot of steps in at the airport, which, by the way, really needs remodeling and expanding, especially the number of bathrooms in there. They need to make the hallways bigger. And I know they know that, but that's just a side note. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Orlando people. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But when we were there, our plane was supposed to take off, and we started waiting and waiting. And I could hear over the loudspeaker, flight, flight is canceled. Actually, they were saying canceled on some of these, to Philadelphia, to Trenton, New Jersey. And if you know anything about the Northeast United States, you know that most of the time in a summer pattern, that's what we're in now. It's almost July of 2023. Basically, what happens is the weather patterns go from west to east, and they got to go up into the Northeast. Like a nor'easter in the wintertime, it'd be snow, and in the summertime, it's just like all these storms going. Boom. So if you know the geography of the area, you got Washington D.C., then you got kind of northeast of that is BWI, then northeast of that is Philadelphia, the northeast of that is Trenton. So Trenton, New Jersey. So they were canceling flights. I could hear them over the loudspeaker, just not that many of them, but some. Okay, in Philadelphia and Trenton. Now, why would they do that? I think it was because they were getting close to the end of the day, and whenever you have a strong line of thunderstorms, I pulled up my radar. I use the My Radar app, and I could see the line of thunderstorms going in, starting down in Virginia and moving up to DC, BWI, Philadelphia, and Trenton, New Jersey, as they described. I could see them, and they could see them coming. So I think they were just preemptively canceling flights because they knew they were going to get backed up at the airports, right? And basically, when you have a period of time when you can't have any flights coming in and out because of severe thunderstorm lines moving through, you lose that gap. So there's like a 2-hour gap in there. You're going to lose 2 hours of what you can do in that day, unless you can extend it way out to the middle of the night. And I guess at some point they just say, well, we're not doing that. So they were canceling. Anyway, we got over to our flight, and it was supposed to happen. And it wasn't until the last possible second that they said it was delayed. But I could see all these people building up all over around us. And sure enough, we were delayed. And sure enough, I pulled the thing up open, and I could see that the storms had just passed by BWI, but they were literally passing by. It was all clear behind there, as it usually does in the summertime pattern. So we were waiting, and it was delayed. It must have been delayed 3-4 times, and every single time they would wait till the last possible second, like it was supposed to take off at 5:15. Not only would they not board you at 4:30 or 4:45 or 5, but they would not board you at all, and then they would wait till the last second to knock it out. You already knew it was going to be delayed. Okay. Now, what was a little bit strange to me is that people would go up to the ticketing, or not the ticket, but whoever is there, letting people onto into the door that leads out to the airplane. They were asking, like, what's going on? When are we going to get on? And for a while there, I really thought they were going to cancel our flight too. I really did. Okay. Because like I said, there's only so much capacity on a daily basis. If you have strong thunderstorms that go through and cause problems, you're going to have to sometimes shed some of these flights for the day and just have people rebook. And our flight was totally packed, though. That was going to be a nightmare. We were already preparing for that. And thankfully, that didn't happen. But here's what did happen. They were telling people, and I was hearing them explain it, and I was hearing from the passengers as it would come over, that there was mechanical problems on the plane. Okay? They were telling everybody that that's the reason for the delay, mechanical problems. And not only were they telling our flight, but they were talking to other people around us. People were talking, and they're like, yeah, ours is mechanical. There's like 3 or 4 planes with mechanical issues, and they keep delaying. And I'm thinking, that's what happened? Did someone like go out there and start shooting the aircraft and have to patch bullet holes or something in like all these planes? It doesn't normally happen that way, right? I mean, if you got to change the oil or something, you can schedule that at another time. Okay. I don't think you even need to do that in the airplanes. If you do, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. I don't even know. However, it became obvious to me after looking around, seeing what's going on, looking at the radar, knowing how all these flights, some flights were being canceled, that I was hoping, first of all, ours wasn't going to be canceled. Like I said, it ended up going. But the what got me was that they were telling everyone that there's delays due to mechanical issues. And I'm thinking, no way, no way. I can totally understand why there would be delays, but that's not why. Think about this. If our airport was totally fine, Orlando, and we would fly into an airport because we could take off. There's nothing holding us back from taking off out of Orlando. We could fly in over to BWI, but what's going to happen when we get there? Basically, we'll have to circle around DC and Baltimore until we get clearance to land. And you'd have like hundreds of planes doing that potentially if people didn't start delaying their flights. And that could be a recipe for disaster, of course. So still, why would they tell people there's mechanical problems if there weren't any mechanical problems? So I thought about this for a while. And I'm like, I understand now. Well, obviously, airlines is a big issue. You hear about incidents on airplanes. We had to not take off, or we had to make an emergency landing because an irate passenger blew up at somebody. And of course, there's always the concern about terrorism, someone maybe having a bomb on the plane or whatever. I mean, there could be any kind of horrible thing that can happen, and unfortunately has happened at airports. So if you're the airline, you want to minimize the possibility that anything like that's going to happen. You want to minimize the possibility that you're going to upset any passengers. So what do you tell them in a situation like this? Well, if they were to say, hey, there's weather delays. Well, what if somebody really had to get to a meeting at BWI on our plane, right? And they're going to say, like, I don't care if the weather is delayed. Just take the plane off. They'll let us land. Just go. They would be, you would start working, how people get. I mean, obviously I am an optimist, if you don't know this, and I think everyone should behave and can behave properly, but some people just can't control that. They got to get somewhere. They're not going to have someone say there's a few raindrops, and because of that, we're delaying your flight for 3 hours. Actually, that's what it was. It was 3 hours, okay? For a few raindrops? Okay, you get the idea. Somebody who has a hard time controlling themselves is going to get super pissed at something like this. So that's the thinking behind, and I get the thinking, because if you tell somebody there's a mechanical issue, that same person in that same situation is not going to get upset. It's going to completely diffuse them, because who in their right mind is going to demand that an aircraft with mechanical problems take off right now? Nobody, right? Let me know in the comments what you think about that. But I'm just saying, this is so obvious to me. But the thing is, of course, the airlines are outright lying. All right, they're outright lying. Do you think that's okay for them to lie in the situation? Let me know in the comments. I mean, the reality is they could be saving people's lives by lying, okay? I don't know what to think about this, but like I said, it seems so obvious to me. Like, I can see why they're doing it. I can see it may be required. I'm not a person that's ever going to say it's okay to lie about something, but this is like literally a matter of life and death. And instances that we have seen at airports that become outrageous and horrific, right? And we don't want to see any of that. So I'm just curious as to what you guys think. And hopefully this was valuable. Give me a thumbs up, please. It really helps out with the algorithm if you can do that. I still don't know what I think, and I'd like to get your input. I'd like to see the comments so that I can kind of figure out how to handle this myself, how to process it mentally. But even if you weren't aware of this, at least this video is pointing out to you that this is apparently a practice that the airlines do. And I've flown a lot. I wasn't really aware of this before. Maybe it was just the perfect storm, literally, that had to set this up so that I could discover their techniques. But let me know your thoughts on if you've known this for a while, and any kind of instances that have happened to you. Let me know in the comments. So I look forward to reading them, and please subscribe too if you don't already. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.